Hello, everyone. There are just some movies that are bad, that you know are bad, but you can't help but look. You just cannot look away from them. And every time you talk about them with your friends or family, you feel like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho.
Don't just stare at it, eat it.
Well, today I'm going to share with you my top 10 favorite guilty pleasure movies. Here we go. So, there are many movies that are bad that I enjoy that I sometimes don't really clarify as a guilty pleasure because I enjoy watching them. But there's some movies that even though I enjoy watching them, I know are bad, flawed films. They're not perfect. So here, starting the list at number 10, is Wild Wild West. Now, Wild Wild West, of course, is based on the TV show, and this stars Will Smith and Kevin Kline. Barry Sonnenfeld directs this. And in many ways, he's trying to capture the magic that Men in Black had. Well, Will Smith took this role of Jim West and passed on Neo. Yes, that is a decision he weighs heavily on from time to time and reflects. But, you have Selma Hayek in this movie. I remember this was the first movie to be advertised with the Burger King Big Kids meal. You also have Kenneth Branagh as Arliss Lovelace. Yeah, a giant spider appears. Go watch Kevin Smith's video. You'll know the story behind that. Overall, is this a perfect adaptation? No. Is this a perfect Western? No. But it has some funny moments, and what really makes this is the performances from the cast and the chemistry between Will Smith and Kevin Kline. They do the best with what they have, and overall, I enjoy this film. I know it's not a perfect movie, but hey, even Jonah Hex tried to rip this off, and it was horrible. So, Wild Wild West, while not being like the Wild Wild West from the TV show, I do enjoy it for what it is, and I find myself enjoying this film despite it being flawed, and despite it not being exactly 100% accurate. I do love the humor here, and it's just one of those feel-good movies. If I see it on TBS Superstation, I'm probably going to watch it. After that, at number 9 is Godzilla from 1998. Now, I actually love this film. A lot of people are like, it's Godzilla in name only. This is an iguana. I agree, but at the same time, there's a certain charm to it. Are the performances the best? No, there's some horrible acting here. There's some stereotypical characters, but I love Matthew Broderick in movies. You have Hank Azaria, Jean Reno. And overall, I like the direction from Roland Emmerich. This is right after Independence Day. Very much almost like a Jurassic Park type of ripoff with Godzilla and the babies, being from T-Rex to Velociraptors. But overall, it's an enjoyable film, and I think what's even more iconic than the film is the album. You have Come With Me by Puff Daddy. You have Brain Stew by Green Day, No Shelter by Rage Against the Machine, Deeper Underground by Jamiroquai. Overall, I have a lot of nostalgia towards this film. Now, is it like the Japanese Godzilla films? No, but at least I saw more of Godzilla in this film than I did in the 2014 film, despite him being an iguana. After that is Staying Alive. Now, some of you know Saturday Night Fever is a film that inspired me to be a filmmaker. It's one of my favorite films of all time. So the sequel actually is not a bad film on its own. Sure, it's during the fitness craze of the early 80s. Sure, it's with dance. But this is a very different movie from Saturday Night Fever. It's a bit watered down. It's PG from R. John Badham does not direct. But I think Sylvester Stallone does an underrated job as director. Definitely brings some elements from his Rocky films into this with Tony Manero. And yeah, he is a bit of an insufferable character as far as falling for Finola Hughes' character. I love the soundtrack. The Bee Gees return. You have Tommy Farragher with Look Out for Number One. Joe Esposito with The Winning End. I love this. Yeah. What more can you ask for? It's basically Dance and Rocky. After that, at number 7 is Mortal Kombat Annihilation. The cover here says, destroy all expectations. Because that's what you have to do with that film, is just destroy all expectations. Man, Mortal Kombat Annihilation was a very hot sequel right after the 1995 movie. Everything just took a nosedive and went down the crapper. This was just bad. Between them recasting Sonya Blade, I do think the new Sonya is great, though. Killing Johnny Cage in the first 5 minutes. Are you high? And then Christopher Lambert did not return. We have James Remar, and I'm sorry, but I want the Highlander, I don't think so. What saves this film is the action. Nowadays, it's really dated. It was bad back then, but I enjoyed it as a kid. But now, it's really bad. And the CGI looks like a Windows 95 video game. Oh, animality. Overall, it feels like Power Rangers from time to time, and the story's just everywhere. They really go off kilter from the video game story, even though they have the whole Outworld scenario. They go into other things that are just like out there that weren't even in the video game. But I do enjoy the fighting in this. I love the fight scenes. You know, you have Sonya, Melina, you have Jax, Cyrax. Man, who could forget the Liu Kang smoke fight? Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. I love that. Overall, I really would have loved a quest film with other characters helping them out through this journey, but it's just a sad, sad, sad fall from grace from the film we call Mortal Kombat from '95. After that, at number 6 is Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. Now, this film is another far cry from its predecessors, especially the first two Donner films. But I love Gene Hackman back as Lex Luthor. You know, you have Ducky from Pretty in Pink. John Cryer, he's Lex now in Supergirl. He plays Lex's nephew. And then there's Nuclear Man. Yeah, his nails are ridiculous. He's like the lamest villain ever. And, you know, yeah, they breathe in space in this movie. They're flying and breathing in space. Superman, I understand. But the lady he's with is human. She's not Kryptonian. She would be dead in space. This movie gives Superman ridiculous powers. The effects are very, very, very bad. But, you know what? I enjoy it. Superman 3 and 4 are pretty much like the Joel Schumacher Batmans. Now, that's actually kind of an insult. I think the Joel Schumacher Batmans are much better than Superman 3 and 4. But as far as like the series, you have the first two, and then there's like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. This is definitely the Batman and Robin of Superman films, hands down, but I still enjoy it. Has a lot of camp, and Christopher Reeve still gives a stellar performance, a superb performance as Superman. Who could forget that final speech?
And there will be peace. There will be peace when the people of the world want it so badly that their governments will have no choice but to give it to them. I just wish you could all see the earth the way that I see it.
Yeah, that is one speech that even today, we all need. After that, at number 5 is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Now, this was pretty much rock bottom for Nightmare on Elm Street. The series was already going down, but what I love about this film, it's a parody. It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's like Looney Tunes meets Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the Goo Goo Dolls song, I'm Awake Now. I love the whole Wizard of Oz homage at the beginning, the cast there. Lisa Zane as Freddy Krueger's daughter. And they definitely tried some early 3D. Ambitious, but it just wasn't there. The technology was not there. Overall, this is a silly film, but I like the humor, and it does have some messed up moments. Overall, I enjoy it more than Nightmare on Elm Street 5. But if you look at Wes Craven's original film and this, you're like, what happened? I guess they milked the franchise as far as they could. Like, Freddy became a caricature of himself. A far cry from the original, but you know what? It's a fun, kind of cartoonish conclusion that I enjoy for the original 6 films until we get to New Nightmare where the real Freddy Krueger returns. After that, at number 4 is Resident Evil Afterlife. And the reason why I say guilty pleasures because I really don't like 5 and 6. 3 is a well-made movie, but like after the second Resident Evil, it really started to drift away from the video games. I used to love watching Apocalypse, but that film hasn't aged very well. I still love the first one the best. But Paul W.S. Anderson coming back for Afterlife was just great. I thought he was going to bring the franchise back in a big way, and then I realized he was off his meds again on 5 and 6. But, you know, this was filmed during the Fusion camera system era, is right after Avatar. This was amazing in 3D. It looks kind of silly when you watch it in 2D, but I like how they took Alice's powers away. You have Claire and Chris Redfield finally in a movie together, and then Albert Wesker was so much better than the Albert Wesker in Extinction. Of course, they defeat him in a stupid way, but I love the homage to the Resident Evil 5 fight with the Outsider Apocalypse remix from A Perfect Circle. Overall, this just has a lot of fun moments, and it's just like a killer zombie film, like a good zombie B movie. A lot of action. I like the music by Tom Dandy, and yeah, what can I say? It's a good time waster, and it's just one of my guilty pleasures from the Resident Evil series. After this, I really did not care, but Afterlife, I have a soft spot for Afterlife. After that, at number 3 is the Highlander sequels. That's right. Highlander 2: The Quickening. No, scratch that. The theatrical version is dog shit. I'm talking about the Renegade version of Highlander 2, the one that's on Blu-ray. And then Highlander: The Final Dimension and Highlander Endgame. There can be only one. They were not lying. There's only one great Highlander film. It should have only been one film and then a TV show. None of the sequels had the Queen music, but you know what? I enjoy watching them despite it being convoluted and just kind of being soft reboots in a way. Highlander 2 tried to explain where the immortals came from and made it convoluted. For one, it did not mention anything from the first movie. It pretty much ignored it. But I love Connor McLeod being an old man. The whole ozone layer situation was very much ahead of its time. But I like Michael Ironside as General Katana. He was great. You have Virginia Madsen in this. One Dream, the song by Lou Gramm, is fantastic. Overall, this has a lot of action. Is it as epic as the first film? No, but it's very much like a sci-fi film, Blade Runner type film. The first Highlander is a fantasy film. Highlander 2 is strictly a science fiction film. And overall, I enjoy it for what it is. Highlander The Final Dimension, I love a lot more. It might as well be called Highlander 3 The Apology. You know, Marv Van Peebles plays a very cheesy, cartoonish villain. He hams it up, but I love him. Pretty much, this is like Highlander 1 Redux. Christopher Lambert, as always, is great in these films as Connor McLeod. He was born to play Connor McLeod. Deborah Unger is hot in this movie. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's all I have to say there. Between that and the final two credit songs, overall, this was a much better Highlander film. And despite it being more low budget and cheesy, I do think it felt more true to the original film than The Quickening. Highlander Endgame is actually my favorite sequel, even though they do kill off Connor McLeod. I love that Adrian Paul, Duncan McLeod from the series, joins Connor. So it's the TV Highlander and the movie Highlander in one film. Yeah, before Avengers Endgame, there was Highlander Endgame. Overall, the villain, Jacob Kell. Yeah, I did not like him, but he was a deadly villain, and I'm glad he got his due at the end with Duncan McLeod cutting his head off. Donnie Yen, in an early role, is amazing in this movie. Overall, this movie was very ambitious, but as always, producers and behind-the-scenes issues really hurt these films, but I felt like this was taken very seriously. It really tried to harken back to the pain of being an immortal, like the first film. And overall, I just enjoy these sequels. They're almost like the Crow sequels to me. Like, yeah, there should only be one movie, one great film, but I enjoy watching them as a Highlander fan. After that, at number 2 is RoboCop 3. This film was actually the first RoboCop I saw. Here's a funny story. Like, I saw this on HBO with my brother, and I told my mom, let's get RoboCop. She let me have it. I didn't know there was 3 movies. So I was shocked when I saw the Paul Verhoeven original, and it was like rated R. I was like, holy shit, this movie's crazy. I loved it, but I saw the PG-13 one first. The flying scene was so cool. This film has not aged well. I liked it better when I was small, but it's been really, really bad seeing how it looks now. It's dated as hell now. You have Ninja RoboCop. You know, you have another actor other than Peter Weller. You have his partner of Lewis. She's killed. I do love that story. Him siding with the homeless people, the whole rehabilitation project. I love that scene with Daggett at the end. It's like, how can I assist you? And he's just like, by resisting arrest. I love that moment. And I love the original score from the first film. It's returned. You know, in many ways, I think RoboCop 2 is a better film, but I actually enjoy RoboCop 3 because it kind of feels more like a watered-down version of the first one. Overall, RoboCop is another film where the sequels aren't as strong as the original, and this is just a bad movie. But it's a bad movie that I enjoy, you know? I don't know if it's like Terminator 3 or something with the jokes, everything. I don't know. There's something about this movie, I don't know if it's just watching it at a young age, that I enjoy. And at least it's better than the 2014 RoboCop. Yes, I'm going to go ahead and say that. The one above this is actually a better made film. And I don't feel guilty watching it as much per se, but it's a film that tried to do too much and was convoluted. The next film on my list to top my top 10 favorite guilty pleasure movies is Terminator Genisys. This film killed the franchise in many ways, but I think the franchise is pretty much dead with any sequel after Terminator 3. I love Salvation, but I actually like this more than Rise of the Machines, and definitely like this more than Dark Fate. Like, I'm sorry, I know John's a bad guy, but at least they didn't kill him as Edward Furlong in the first 5 minutes of the fucking movie. Arnold was at his best here. His swan song, I love it when he says, I'll be back, gets out of the helicopter. I talked about this film a lot on my channel. Overall, I feel like Jai Courtney and Emilia Clarke were miscast. I like the performances for what they are in this movie, but when you compare them to Michael Biehn and Linda Hamilton, it's completely miscast. This film tried to do too much. They could have just spent time in the 80s with young and old Arnold fighting each other with the T-1000. It could have been the whole movie. They tried to put like 3 movies into this one movie. And I would have loved to see where the direction went, but overall, I like that they introduced the idea of alternate timelines, because right now, I consider Genisys an alternate timeline. You know, it's not canon entirely. It's just another timeline possibility that's kind of like in another, like timeline B where timeline A is like 1 and 2. You could have like 1, 2, Sarah Connor Chronicles is one timeline, Terminator 1, 2. You could have like 1, 2, 3, 4. You could have like 1, 2 Genesis, or you could have like 1, 2 in Dark Phase. So you can choose from plenty of timelines. Like Highlander, Terminator's become like a choose your own adventure. And there's some other really horrible movies, some steaming pieces of shit, but I enjoy watching them, so I wouldn't say I feel guilty about it. Does it make me a horrible person? I don't know. Feel free in the comments below. Let me know some of your favorite guilty pleasure movies. This is a safe space. Comment below. I would love to hear them. Meanwhile, you can follow me on the Stardust app and Instagram at FredFilmFanatic. Subscribe for more videos, hit that bell for more notifications, and check out these videos for more content. In the meantime, everyone, I hope you all stay safe and healthy out there.